Okay, I now have the pleasure of introducing Barbara Helland. Barb is the Associate Director of the Office OSCAR. The yeah, that's yeah.
She's not.
Anyway, Barb is a long-standing friend and supporter of this fellowship. She was with Jim Koronis at the Ames Lab when they managed the fellowship. She moved with Jim to the Krell Institute, where again and still they managed the fellowship. And then she went to D.C. to be in the OSCAR office and is now the Associate Director. Barb?
Thank you. And I just want to echo some of the things that Bob had said. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the support of Jim Koronis. And letting me, when I went to him and would ask him, I would really like to do this program, saying, sure, go ahead and do it. So I appreciate and I do miss him. And here it is. And I apologize to all of the new fellows. The one thing I'm missing in my slides that I just realized on the way down here was an org chart of DOE. But, I don't know what it is either. This way. But what I do want to do, because, everything that's happened over the past year, I realize that I'm toward the end of my career. I'm inching toward retirement. You are all at the beginning of your careers. So I took this time, when I was preparing for this talk, to look back a little bit. I've actually been around from at the very end of the mainframe era through the vector area, which when I did this, it was a VAX connected to a floating point system. So that was I claim is the first heterogeneous machine. And then more recently, we've been in the distributed memory area, and I wanted to. This slide, I will give credit to NNSA Labs. They're the ones that developed this. So I just want to focus a little bit on the Office of Science Facilities. I keep forgetting. It's this way. Okay. When I came to DOE in 2005, I came to the Office of Science to set up the Leadership Computing Facility at Oak Ridge. And at that time, they had a plan to go to the petaflop machine in 2009. But you can see we had a path. We had a path where it seemed like every year we were upgrading the machine. The interesting thing was I was able to upgrade those cabinets by sliding processors in and sliding processors out. So I went from a single core, replaced the single cores with a dual core, bought some more cabinets, went from the dual core to the quad core. At all of this time, we had to bring the applications along because they weren't used to actually parallelizing their code and using something with actually 4 cores in it. For the first, I would say, through the Cray XT4, we were able to speed the clock up. Still able to do that, but once we got beyond that, it became too unstable to speed the clock up. The other thing, when we started in 2005, Oak Ridge actually had probably the last vector machine, which we realized we couldn't update. So yes, it wasn't the exact plan that we wanted, but in 2009, we did put a petaflop machine on the floor. Now, I have to give credit to Roadrunner at Los Alamos. They were the first petaflop, but we were the first petaflop for open science. And you'll notice that we went from a quad core on a node to now we had 2 actually cores on a node. So we had 2 processors, each being 6 core. Actually, it started out at 4 core, but 2009, for all you who remember, was the Recovery Act, and we got some funding to upgrade it. So going forward, this is, again, Jaguar at 2.3 petaflops. At that time, it was 7 megawatts. This was about the time we started talking about exascale and what we're going to do at exascale. Exascale was going to be a game changer. We weren't going to have as much memory on a node. We weren't going to have, flops are free. Memory, it's expensive to move data in and out of memory. So we started becoming aware of energy. So at that time, when we went to Titan in 2012, we added GPUs. So we came back to the heterogeneous machine. We had 1 CPU for 1 GPU. And it was only at 9 megawatts. Starting this summer, we're going to put Summit in place. Summit's going to have 1 IBM Power 9 CPUs, and multiple NVIDIA Volta GPUs. What we discovered in this time is one of the things that the GPUs are really, really good for is machine learning. So while we were doing this, I mean, we were going through and doing the scientific applications, bringing the scientific applications up to run on multi-cores, heterogeneous cores. At the same time, we had the Googles and the Amazons looking at large amounts of data and doing machine learning. And I can tell you, the vendors are designing for the Googles and the Amazons, not for me, because we basically don't buy enough machines. So this is, but the interesting thing about the Summit machine, I'm going to be 100 times faster than Jaguar, but not just a little bit under twice the amount of power that it's going to take to run it. And then the next, if anybody's read our budget, we plan to have an exascale machine on the floor in 2021 at one of the leadership computing facilities. So, and just to go back to the fact that the Summit machine we're going to have, the Tensor chips is something that Google has developed, and now NVIDIA has Tensor cores in its NVIDIA chip. This machine, even though we say it's going to be 200 petaflops, it's also going to, with the Tensor chips, it will be capable of doing 3 exaops, not flops, exaops, because the Tensor chips only use half precision in the core for machine learning. So this will be a very good, not only scientific machine, but a very good machine learning machine as well. This just is. So I leave you with this. What are the machines going to look like going forward? When we put the petaflop machine on the floor, I said, okay, we had this vision for exaflop. Exaflop is really going to be, followed on what you're comfortable with today computing. But going forward, we're getting down to the feature size. IBM just announced that they could build a 5 nanometer chip, but they're going to use nano gates around it, so they have to perfect nanotechnology, and all of you materials folks out there need to work on that. But we're also looking at non-CMOS. We're looking at processors that will mimic the brain. And within my organization, the Office of Science, we're really looking at the next one, quantum processors that will mimic physical systems, quantum processors, quantum sensors, quantum detectors, and I envision that the first instantiation of quantum will be connected to a big processor, but it won't be a standalone machine. But the trouble is, we have no software. We have no idea what the software should look like. We have no algorithms. We have no compilers. And it's your problem. And like I say, within the Office of Science, we realize that future computing needs new partnerships. I need the materials research that's going on in the office, in the basic energy sciences program. I need the research in cryostatics that they're doing in high energy physics. So this has become, for once, in the Office of Science, all the programs are pulling together. And if you look at our 2018 budget request, 4 of the 6 programs actually had funding for quantum programs there. So that's what I said. If I look at this, we need BES for materials, OSCAR for new software, algorithms, but more importantly, we need computational scientists to fill the gap. So this is your future. We're changing, I'm going to step away. I'm going to change computing. It's all yours.